Hi everyone, I'm Michelle from michellesmidheaven.com. It's been a while, and that's because I've been very busy writing for Astrum Opus, which is an astrozine. We're on Substack if you'd like to check that out. We have forecasts for every step of the moon cycle, podcasts and chart delineations like the ones you find here on my channel. So if you enjoy these, be sure to check out Astrum Opus on Substack. Right. Today, I'd like to explore a natal chart with you all. It's got such an interesting stellium, and I thought it was quite exceptional. So, a stellium is a group of three or more planets occupying one sign. And just let me pull up the chart for you. Okay, so as you can see, this person has a five-planet stellium, or even a six-planet stellium if we count Pluto at 26 degrees of Leo. They're all in the ninth house, so that's a lot to unpack. Some things will stand out, though, such as Mars in this case. You'll notice that he's right in the heart of the sun. The sun and Mars are both at 23 degrees, so Mars is cazimi here. And it's a very tight cazimi because Mars is within 10 minutes of the sun. The sun happens to be in Leo, which is the domicile or the home sign of the sun. And generally speaking, it's good for planets to be co-present with their hosts, in this case, the sun. Now, when you see a chart like this with most of the planets in just one location, you immediately know where to start. Obviously, there's going to be a huge emphasis on that ninth house. And this is why it's so important to understand all of the house significations and to keep deepening that understanding. The planets in the ninth are moving away from the 10th house, which is a kind of, the 10th house is the kind of place that we have in the world. The 10th house is our public life. It's what we do, our activities, how other people see us. It's that busy arena where we have our social status, reputation, and so on. And the ninth house is a declining place, and planets in the ninth house fall away from that public sphere. They take a distance from the busy world, from the spotlight, in order to reflect upon the world. The idea here is that it's easier to understand something when we're not in the middle of it. So we gain knowledge in the ninth house. We take our experiences from the 10th house and let that form our worldview and life philosophy. It's where we leave the mundane stage, but at the same time, it's the place where we want to expand our horizon, perhaps by literally traveling to places far away, or symbolically by traveling with the mind, learning and exploring ideas from examining physical laws to focusing on the more spiritual or religious side of life. The ninth place as one of the cadent houses is in many ways like a world between worlds. It's a house where we absorb knowledge, and sometimes that knowledge arrives in mysterious ways. The ninth house is understood as a place of dreams and visionary dreams in particular, where information is somehow channeled through us, you could say. So we have to be open to all of those significations when reading a chart which has such a big emphasis on one house. This is Matthew Manning's chart, and he's known for his psychic abilities. Strange events began happening around him when he was about 11 years old. This would have been a 12th house perfection year, by the way, and this would have activated the 12th house ruler Mars in this case. Small objects started to move from one place to another in the house, and the moon, which is the natural significator of home and family, is in an applying adherence here with Mars. Matthew's family heard the sound of someone knocking on the walls and doors all over the house, and they could not find the source of the noise. The noises, the knocking, things moving, all of this poltergeist activity, those are all typical significations of Mars that seem to be expressed in a mysterious, otherworldly way. And this otherworldliness is not only a ninth house signification, it definitely also fits this particular moon because the moon is just about to end her cycle in relation to the sun. So this is a balsamic or dark moon, and that often points to mystery or a sense of alienation, a sense of not belonging to this world. When Matthew went off to boarding school, that was when the main trouble started. It's pretty amazing how students and the staff at his school actually witnessed beds being moved and chairs, knives, nails, and light bulbs flying through the room. And then one day, Matthew was writing an essay, and suddenly he felt his hand moving on its own. And after a while of scribbling something on the paper, he realized that he was doing automatic writing. And that appeared to slow down all of the poltergeist activity. So he thought that maybe his automatic writing was a way of channeling all of this strange energy happening around them. Mercury is in his domicile and even exalted in Virgo, so very well dignified up there in the 10th house. Mercury is the god of communication and language, and he's also the messenger of the gods, which means Mercury with his winged helmet flies from this world into the other world, so he's able to look behind the veil, so to speak. Matthew's automatic writing came to him in English, Italian, German, Greek, and Latin, and also Russian and Arabic. And he also produced psychic art at some point. We see that Venus is pretty close to the moon as well. And I guess just having a lot of Leo planets also points to heightened creativity. Some of the ninth house significations that come to mind is the publishing of his book titled The Link. He also participated in a long series of tests that were conducted by some of the world's leading scientists back in the day. He gave himself up to extensive testing for 5 years in California and London universities. In Texas, he was examined by a top scientist. And this is actually where he showed some very remarkable stuff. It was said that he could influence cancer cells and kill over 60% of the cancer cells. They also observed that he could influence another person's brain waves. And it was the first time they could actually register all of that, right? Academic scientific research is a ninth house topic. Another one is long distance travel. Matthew set off on a world tour to promote his book. And department stores had blackouts just because of Matthew walking through them. And he was producing poltergeist activity everywhere he went. And at some point, he was also approached by two Catholic archbishops, which again, funnily enough, is a ninth house or Jupiterian signification. But it all became too much, and he was still in his early 20s when he turned his back on all the hype. And that's when he decided to take a break. He headed out to the Himalayan mountains, where he said he had a powerful spiritual experience. And to this day, he doesn't know how to describe it. He's not sure if it was God or his inner mind that gave him a very important personal message. He vowed to use his powers in service to other people and to not turn himself into a show, basically. He didn't want to seek out publicity. So since then, since his early 20s, he's doing what he can do to help others heal. And he's very modest about the healing that occurs He says that it's not him, it just seems to happen through him. So that's very ninth housey, that channeling. So he wants to do good. Notice how both of the so-called malefic planets, Mars and Saturn, have exceptional planetary conditions here. As I said, Mars is at the king's throne here, it's Cazimi, and Mars receives Saturn as his guest. Saturn is in Mars's sign Scorpio. So Saturn here in the 12th house, where Saturn rejoices, by the way, probably also receives the benefit of having a Cazimi Mars as its host. Saturn, in turn, is enclosed by the benefics, Venus and Jupiter. Venus casts her ray to 19 degrees Scorpio, while Jupiter casts a ray to 14 degrees of Scorpio, kind of cuddling Saturn in a warm love sandwich. And Saturn is also simply overcome by the benefics through a superior square. Then there's also the fact that Jupiter came out of the beams of the sun 7 days after Matthew was born. And that emphasizes Jupiter's role here as the significator of spirituality, but also healing and traveling and so on. So I just wanted to share this chart as it's absolutely loaded with interesting details. And then again, every chart is interesting. Let me know if you enjoyed this by giving this video a thumbs up. And please subscribe if you'd like to see more videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.